Hi guys, in this video I'm going to talk about how to build Senna. Uh, we're going to go over itemization, max order, and runes. Alright, first off for summoner spells you're going to want to take, well, flash obviously. For second one you're going to want barrier if they have any kind of kill pressure on you, like against Nahus and Alistar. And the way you use it is anytime they trade you, you just instantly barrier and trade back and have the cooldown come up faster. Uh, If the lane matchup is good for you, typically against other ranged champions like enchanters, taking heal is good. Senna shouldn't take exhaust or ignite because she rarely gets in range to use these spells. Alright, so we're going to talk about starting items. The best option is going to be Spectral Sickle. Senna stacks this item very fast because she loves trading in lane with Qs and autos to get her souls. And you're going to want to start the warding trinket because you want to be able to ward the bushes that the enemy is in to trade them. Yeah. So on the first base, Senna usually likes to get early boots because she wants to use the MS with her range to chase autos. But it's not uncommon to pick up long swords or an early dirk as well if you can afford them, just to increase her fighting power. In terms of what types of boots, Senna can run many different kinds. The most common is swiftness boots for the tier 3 movement speed. However, I think boots on her it's a preference, and you can run anything like lucidity to shorten her cooldowns and summoner spells. You can run tabbies or treads since she's very squishy and is often focused first in fights. Yeah, you can definitely choose. So for Senna, her item rush is actually not a mythic. She likes to get the Umbral Glaive first. And the reason why is because it gives you cheap lethality and ability haste, as well as just the vision control capabilities of being able to reveal and clear wards is really nice. Now we'll talk about Mythic. So Senna actually has multiple viable Mythics that lead to different playstyles for her. So let's go over each one. So I'm going to talk about Eclipse first. This is the most popular mythic on her for a good reason. It procs off Q and auto since pulling the soul counts as one instance of damage. So it gives you a really nice burst at the start of every fight. The build path is also very friendly for a budget. You know, it's just all long swords. She's strong on components like Dirk and Caulfields. So you definitely want to build this item, especially if you are against squishy targets. All right, next option is Locket. It's no secret that Senna is one of the easiest champions to kill. So Locket will give you a little bit of survivability against assassins at the cost of damage. Usually you pair this item with Blade of the Ruined King to supplement the damage that she's lacking. But that build spikes a little bit later, especially since Blade of the Ruined King is not that good on components. I would build Locket, especially if my team has more ranged champions. Like you definitely want to think and visualize if your Locket build will get value. If you're around the ranged champions, then you will be able to shield them. But if your team is mostly melees, typically Senna's too far away and won't be able to shield them. All right. The last option is Kraken Slayer. Kraken Slayer is a good option for killing tanks and leads into more on-hit builds like the Kraken into Ginsu's. But these builds can get really expensive and often can't be afforded on a support budget. So it's something to think about. All right, now let's talk about mid to late game situational items. I'm going to talk about Yumu's first. Yumu's is actually good for just the mobility to chase autos with. On top of that, it gives out of combat movement speed, which is really good for tempo, for vision control. A lot of pro player supports like Carrier actually get Yumu's over Mythic as a second item on lethality supports for that reason. Next option we're going to talk about is the rapid fire cannon. This works well with her already high range to hit people from practically full screens away. Q also gets the increased range as well. So this is just a good item for opening up the fight if your team doesn't have much engage. Yeah. Next option is Edge of Night. I think of it as like a get out of jail free card where if they have certain spells that can catch you out like Blitzcrank Hook or Sejuani ulti or anything like that, it might be nice to just have this like one-time protection against that. All right. I mean, Blade the Ruin King we kind of talked about. It's used usually with the more tanky Senna builds as the solo damage item. And I wanted to give a shout out slash honorable mention to Navari and IE. Since she naturally gets crit off her passive souls, Senna can actually build Navari and IE without getting a crit item. So these items actually do a lot of pure damage, but I think in terms of like any special effects that she might need, you don't really get much of it, which is why I rarely find that myself building these. All right, I'm going to quickly go over the max order. I think it's straightforward on Senna. Just ulti first, Q, W, E. Not much to elaborate here. Q's her most important spell for damage and healing. And since E only really needs 1 point for the utility, you max W second. All right, now it's time to get into the runes. I always have a hard time finding these. Okay, here. All right, so for Senna, Fleet Foot is the standard keystone. Senna autos minions a lot to lower her Q cooldown, which allows her to reliably charge Fleet. Then when you have it up, you can look for a trade, and the movement speed will allow you to connect an auto for a soul as well. In terms of the second trade, you can choose Overheal or Presence of Mind. I think Overheal is actually really good against all-in lanes for that little extra shield, but keep in mind like you will go pretty Another thing to note is Overheal works on Senna's Q, so yeah, it's very easy to charge up that shield. Presence of Mind, you know, it's standard for a reason. It gives you the mana you need to make up for Senna's insane mana cost on Q. I will say cut down versus cool. I would say if you're not sure, just go cut down because Senna actually has a really low base HP. So cut down actually works on her against most champions. However, I think Ku is better against like a full squishy team. All right. Secondary tree for Senna is typically Resolve because she is super squishy. So it's nice to have Bone Plating as a defensive tool. I'm going to talk about a secondary setup you can try on Senna, which is the Airy. Yes. So I personally like the Airy build a decent amount because I feel like she benefits from the whole tree, the sorcery tree. For example, Airy, Mana Flow Ban, Absolute Focus, and Scorch all kind of have value when you go for that typical Q auto trade. And also, Airy constantly refreshes in Senna's E, which can give you some clutch saves. So if you're not sure, just try both keystones and see which one you like. I'm not saying one is better than the other. And luckily for you guys, I have prepared a cheat sheet for you guys to look at in case you don't want to watch the video again. Yes. So here it is, the Senna cheat sheet. Enjoy. And yeah, if you guys like this video, yeah, you should because I put an effort into it. Okay, bye-bye.